Howdy, this is Melody Allen with Patriots Revival Podcast. We're at the Texas GOP Convention. We are chatting with Mitch Little, the Republican nominee for House District 65 and world famous attorney as well. So, Mitch, thank you so much for being on Patriots Revival today.
Yeah.
So
I'm very happy to be here. Locally infamous, more than world famous.
Yeah. Well, so I want to talk about two things, of course. So I want to
Please.
talk about your candidacy, but I also want to start with your legal work.
Sure.
Because you were made famous, whenever you were asked to defend our Attorney General, Ken Paxton. And so just wanted to ask you, what was that like when you got the call to actually work on and be a part of that case?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I had represented Ken Paxton for probably 9 or 10 years before that. You know, he was charged with securities fraud stuff that has now since been dismissed.
Right.
Never should have been brought in the first place. So we had a good relationship. And when he got impeached, I just felt like the Lord was calling me to come and serve and be a part of that. And so naturally, we kind of ran to the sound of the impeachment and put together a defense team that fortunately was successful. It's the only statewide impeachment defense in Texas history.
Right. How long did it take? I mean, how long did you guys prepare for that?
Yeah, the whole process, I think most people thought as soon as he got impeached on the House floor, the defense team sprung into action. That's not actually what happened at all. And the reason was we didn't even have the rules yet for what the impeachment is going to be like, how long it was going to last. Are you going to call live witnesses? Are we going to have opportunities for motions to dismiss? And so basically until July, we didn't even have the rules.
Oh, wow.
And, you saw a trial that involved like 400,000 pages of documents. We didn't even get the first document production in the case until 30 days before the trial.
Wow.
So the thing happened very fast. It's really the hardest thing I've ever done as a lawyer.
Wow.
Most fun I've ever had and the most scared I've ever been.
Wow. Well, you and the team did a great job, and we're all very thankful that you all did the hard work to prove that our Attorney General was innocent and he was acquitted of all
Thank God
those
he's
charges.
back on the job, right?
Exactly. That's where we need him to be.
That's where we need him.
So then, though, things took a turn, and you decided to run for office.
Yeah.
And I know there's an interesting story there, and I'd rather you kind of explain how all that came about.
Yeah, it's a wild backstory. I never intended to run for office. I intended to be the person who gives someone else a check and says, hey, you go on and run for office.
Right.
And represent us well. And I had done that. I was actually our incumbent rep's campaign treasurer. I threw fundraisers for her. As soon as she got to Austin, she voted for Speaker Dade Phelan.
Yep.
She voted for this massive budget increase, didn't even put a bump in the road en route to 25% state budget increase, which is shocking.
Right.
And then he voted with the Democrats on casino gambling and sports gambling, voted with the Democrats on impeachment. And I just had this burning in my heart. I was like, this is not right.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have representatives who campaign one way and then do something else when they get to Austin. And so when I got back from the impeachment, I felt like the Lord kind of had put a stone in my shoe to do something about it. And eventually I just decided, you know what, if it's not going to be me, who's it going to be?
Right.
So, and then I said, why not me? And I felt like over the course of a couple months, the Lord really confirmed that I was supposed to step into it.
Awesome. And now you do have a Democrat opponent in November.
Yeah,
correct?
I do. I do have a Democrat in November. Fortunately, our district is something like Republican plus 18 from the last election.
Yeah.
So I'm confident we're going to win.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, also I want to talk about the contract with Texas.
Yeah.
Because I know that you signed on as a part of that.
Yep.
And maybe explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I not only signed it as one of the original signers, but we helped draft it too.
Yeah.
So it was really amazing and a blessing how quickly things coalesced behind the contract with Texas. So we got, as a group of the signers, we got ideological alignment very quickly on reforming the imperial speakership. We want to term limit the speaker. We want him elected only from the Republican caucus. We want to get rid of Democrat committee chairs, Democrat majority committees, and a Democrat speaker pro tem. If we can get these reforms in place, then the sky's the limit for conservative legislation in Texas. For far too long, we've had a transactional legislature, meaning, hey, I'll scratch your back if you'll scratch mine later, but as it turns out, the conservatives never really get their back scratched. The
Right.
Democrats always do.
Yeah.
And so fundamentally, we're trying to reform it so that it looks like our electorate and that we can pass policy that is going to be favorable for conservative Texas.
So let's kind of move into that. So we're at the state convention right
Yep.
now. We just elected a new state chair, and we are going to be voting on the party platform, which is what will pretty
Yeah.
much dictate what we as a party want legislators to do once
Yeah.
you guys get down in Austin.
Yes,
So
of
how
course.
important is it that we get this resolved today, and you
Yep.
to do your part, hoping you win, and all the other Republicans, the conservative Republicans, get to Austin and get this work done, and to follow up on that contract with Texas.
You know, the way the Republic is supposed to work is that the grassroots, the people who are here in the convention, bubble up the legislative priorities, and that the legislators see those as our marching orders.
Yes.
That it's actually something to accomplish, when in reality, you have a whole segment of not only the Republican legislature, but the legislature at large that sees the legislative priorities as incidental or a distraction. And, you know, the grassroots, they don't know how to govern. They don't know
Right.
how the sausage is really made. It's
People say,
dismissive,
yeah.
but fundamentally, in the legislative priorities we have, and in the platform, we have the voice of the people.
Yes.
The people who showed up at the convention and said, this is what matters to us.
Yes.
And hey, all I have to do as a legislator is keep it between the ditches. You know, if you've got the road that's laid out by the Republican Party and the people who are doing the work back home,
Yes.
it should be simple to draft and pass legislation that targets those issues.
One last question. I know that you, with the contract with Texas, and you've got others that have come on.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure, as a grassroots person myself, that you guys will continue, you will band together, and you will move forward with the contract with Texas, and hopefully do your part to get others to
Yes,
come
ma'am.
on board.
That's
So,
why we signed it. And
Yes.
our goal or our mission now is, after the runoffs, to continue coalescing a group around this set of ideals and reforms. So if the people who listen to your podcast have a state rep who hasn't signed it yet,
Yes.
go and talk to your state rep and say, hey, why haven't you signed this? This is a good idea. This is going to be better for Texas. It's going to be better for our district. And fundamentally, I think we're going to add some signers to it as we go in the march toward November and
That's
beyond.
what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for being here today, Mr.
Yeah.
Little. We really appreciate it, and we'll do whatever we can to help with your campaign in the fall.
Thank you so much for including me, and thanks for inviting me, Melody.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.